We are living in unprecedented times. Constant wars worldwide. Nation against nation. Kingdom against kingdom. They're genetically modifying our food. Increased violence as the heart of man grows cold. Ever increasingly tyrannical governments around the world. Stay connected. End Time Prophecy News with W. Dean Shook. Your connection to the signs of the time.
When you download the iHeartRadio app and put the W. Dean Shook Show on your list of stations, you will prove to the world that you're a little bit smarter than everyone else. The W. Dean Shook Show, your connection to the signs of the times.
Now, you have a source for the truth in the news. W. Dean Shook, End Time News. Your connection to the signs of the times.
And welcome into another edition of End Time News. I am your humbled host, W. Dean Shook. I appreciate every single one of you that come here and listen to this program every single day. This is a 15-minute update of news you'll never hear on the mainstream media. You're getting it right here and you're getting it live. And, of course, I want to follow up with a quickie first from Planned Parenthood because you know that abortion is my weak spot. So let's cover this one. Colorado attorney to investigate Planned Parenthood videos coaching young girls into BDSM. The Attorney General of Colorado says he'll have his staff review the live-action investigation video of a Denver Planned Parenthood employee coaching a young woman believed to be only 15 years old in the practice of high-risk sexual activities, including bondage, discipline, and sadomasochism. The second installment of a pro-life organization's life action series entitled Sex Ed, Planned Parenthood's Dangerous Sex Advice for Kids, features Denver Planned Parenthood counselors suggesting to an undercover investigator a spectrum of sadistic sexual behaviors, such as whipping, tying up, and asphyxiation. The lawsuit asserts Planned Parenthood employees' multiple failures to inquire about a 13-year-old girl who became pregnant, or what her relationship was with the adult man who brought her to the defendant's abortion clinic, despite numerous opportunities to speak to the girl alone. Secondly, in this lawsuit, the plaintiff claims Planned Parenthood failed to report known or suspected sexual abuse despite numerous indications that the man had sexually abused the girl. And the Planned Parenthood workers suggested the girl and her boyfriend watch pornographic videos together and even make recommendations on how to hide the porn from her parents. Now, a previous installment of Sex Ed showed the Planned Parenthood affiliate in Indianapolis giving advice to an undercover investigator, also believed to be only 15 years old, on how to practice BDSM and access sex shops and pornographic websites. When? Tell me, when will this abuse of our kids stop? In whose perverted world does this make any sense? I think everyone from our grandparents to our forefathers are spinning in their graves. Wake up, America, wake up! At some point, this has to stop. And speaking of things that have to stop, thisweek.com is reporting the militarization of America's police. How heavily armed are the police? Many small-town police departments now boast the same weaponry once yielded by U.S. military units in Afghanistan, including tanks with 360-degree rotating turrets, battering rams, automatic weapons. Those weapons are today deployed against Americans suspected of crimes in their own homes every day. Special Weapons and Tactics, SWAT teams, connected to the local police, conduct 124 paramilitary-style raids in the U.S. According to a new report by the American Civil Liberties Union, one of them recently drew national attention when a SWAT team in Atlanta burst into a private home, threw a live flash grenade into a 2-year-old's crib, severely injuring the toddler. Most raids by SWAT teams are conducted against suspected drug dealers, but they've also been deployed against private poker games, a gay bar in Atlanta, a New Haven, Connecticut bar suspecting of serving minors, and even people suspected of credit card fraud. Neighborhoods are not war zones, say the ACLU in its report. And our police officers should not be treating us like wartime enemies. Why do police have SWAT teams? The first SWAT team was created by the Los Angeles Police Department in 1967 and reserved for the most extreme circumstances. Riots, hostage scenarios, active shooter or sniper situations, but the war on drugs, coupled with the sense of danger promoted by tragedies like the Columbine Massacre in 1999 and the 9/11 terror attacks, has encouraged police departments, even in small town and rural areas, to create special units equipped and trained for worst-case scenarios. Now, there's violence in schools and there's violence in the streets. This, according to Sheriff Michael Gaynor of Pulaski County in Indiana. If driving a military vehicle is going to protect others, that's what I'm going to do. So how do police get military equipment? Well, here's how. In recent years, Department of Homeland Security has provided $35 billion to local police departments throughout the country to help buy weapons for the war on terror. The rest can be tracked to the Pentagon, which has offloaded $4.2 billion of surplus armored vehicles, rifles, and equipment to police departments as the war in Iraq and Afghanistan have wound down. Well, cash-strapped police departments obtain these weapons for free. All they have to do is pay for the shipping. SWAT teams have obtained tens of thousands of machine guns, night vision goggles, silencers, armed helicopters, and armored vehicles. The Utah Highway Patrol, for example, owns a 55,000-pound mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicle, or an MRAP, complete with a gunner's turret. According to Highway Patrol Alex Lepley, said, "I can drive this thing right into the middle of a gunfight." So please, folks, go to wdeanshook.com and read the rest of this very disturbing story. This is a good indicator of things to come. And I also want to tell you about a Democratic state that goes ballistic against illegals. This may surprise you. It seemed to surprise me a little bit. The protest against illegal immigration turned up an unusual place this weekend with more than 5,000 people who rallied in Boston, Massachusetts, an area that's historically voted for Democrats. Organizers hope the surprisingly large turnout will set the stage for a new wave of protest planned for Saturday in Tennessee and 2 other states. It was not only the size of the Boston crowd and its enthusiasm for the issue, but its location in a blue state that has organizers of this Saturday's protest excited. They said, "I think it's a sign of the time, a symptom of the problem we've got going on here. I think it shows this illegal immigration issue goes beyond political parties," said James Neighbors, founder of Overpass for America and one of the group's organizers who organized this protest. "This has nothing to do with party politics whatsoever," he said. "This is about the future of America for all Americans, regardless of whether liberal or conservative, libertarian, whatever. This is about America. We're going to be undermined by our own federal government if we don't stop it." Neighbors said the crowd in Boston reflected a national mood of having lost patience with Washington establishment politicians. These people that showed up in Boston, I think, are like a lot of Americans. They're getting near the breaking point where they're going to say, "We've had enough." And when Americans reach that point, we tend to do it in a way that's not very mannered. It was fantastic. I was shocked to see this many people gathered. You don't just see that, and they're very, very rightly upset. Neighbors said he'll be in Memphis Saturday to lead a protest. One of the issues fueling anger in many states is the federal government is concealing from governors the locations where illegals are being transported, possibly in an effort to head off protests. Republican governors from Nebraska to South Carolina have complained about being kept in the dark by the feds. At the Boston protest, historian and radio talk show host Jeff Cooner stood on a platform across from the State House atop Beacon Hill and gave a fiery speech where he lambasted President Obama's threats for use of executive order action to grant amnesty to illegal aliens. Here's what he said. He now plans to bring 5 million, Kerner said, as a woman could be heard yelling, "He needs to go to jail," and another shouted, "Arrest him." Kerner then started ticking off the names of the cities in Massachusetts that will go broke if they're forced to absorb more illegal aliens. Shouldn't somebody be getting the hint that if Americans are protesting and they have to hide what they're doing from the American people, that there's something wrong here? They're doing something the American people don't want them to do. Is this a dictatorship or is this a democratic republic? Read this full story too at wdeanshook.com. Well, here's some bad news for Senator Harry Reid. Nevada education system ranked last in the nation, the report said. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid's state ranks last in the nation in education for the third year in a row, according to a child's well-being report released by the Ann E. Casey Foundation. Now, according to the report, about 40% of Nevada's high school seniors didn't graduate on time in 2012. The percentage is the highest failure rate in the country and double the national average. Nevada also had the lowest preschool participation rate in the U.S., with 30% of children receiving schooling before kindergarten compared with 46% as a national average. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Nevada's children beat only New Mexico and Mississippi in an overall well-being category, which includes children's health, education, and the state of families. Nevada continues to gain ground, but we remain 50th place. That's unacceptable. That from Nevada Superintendent of Public Instruction told the Review-Journal. He also told the Review-Journal Nevada's 17 school districts should spend more time ensuring high school students earn credits and pass state requirement exit exams. Districts have to continue rethinking their efforts before students fall so far behind they can't catch up in time, he said. Well, they better start thinking quick. And I want to make sure everybody hears about NBC News quietly alters an article. This is why you're listening to me, because I'm telling you the truth. The alphabet networks lie and scam and only tell you what they want you to know. And here's proof of that. After first squarely blaming Israel for a strike on the Gaza Strip's main hospital Monday, NBC News now has altered the headline and content of an online article to temper Israel's alleged involvement without informing readers it made any change to the piece. Earlier today, the opening sentence of the NBC News story read, "Israel strikes hit within yards of Gaza Main's hospital as well as a refugee camp on Monday, leaving at least 30 dead and wounded." The last sentence stated as fact that Israel was behind the strikes. However, after the Israeli Defense Forces announced the hospital and Palestinian refugee camp were both struck by failed rocket attacks launched by Gaza terrorists aiming at Israel neighborhoods near Gaza, NBC quietly changed its article. The lead sentence now reads, "Missiles or rockets struck within yards of Gaza's main hospital and a nearby refugee camp Monday, leaving at least 30 dead and wounded." The second sentence, which was not in the original piece, now says, the Israeli military denied reports its forces were responsible for the strikes, saying they were the result of rockets misfired by Palestinian militants. NBC also altered the headline. Originally, the headline said, "Israel strikes refugee camp near Gaza hospital," and it was quietly changed to "Strikes near Gaza Shifa hospital, refugee camp kill or hurt 30." The NBC News piece does not contain any statement informing readers of changes or updates made to the article. This original version is still available if you search through the Google Cache search. Thank you for joining me for these headlines. I'll see you on our next update. And don't forget, you can get all of these stories at our website. You can email me at contact@wdeanshook.com. And I would love to get any tips from where you live. Anything that's going on, by all means, send it to me and I'll track it down. I'll see you on our next update. I'm W. Dean Shook. Thank you.
You can get these full stories and more at wdeanshook.com. That's wdeanshook.com.